man, this women's 400 is really interesting. So you have Jonathan, then Francis, Wembley, Ellis, Okolo, Irby, Kaylin Roberts, Allison Felix, Chloe Ablett, Kathleen Campbell. That's the top 10 here. And it's funny, the notables not considered here is a who's who of women's 400 meter running, but in other events. Shamir Little, Athing Mo, Dalilah Muhammad, and Sydney McLaughlin. And one I want
That
to
should
point
be our
out.
4x4 right there. That should
Well,
be our
Shamir
4x4.
Little, I did see that Shamir Little goes 50.19 at Texas Relays. And if you've been paying attention to the women's 400 over the past couple of years, outside of the World Championships and maybe the top Diamond Leagues, for a U.S. runner to run 50 low is rare. It makes me wonder if Little is going to throw her hat into the open 4 as well as the 400-meter hurdles.
I'm going to have to ask a question. Is it possible schedule-wise? I know there's been times when, like, Ashley Spencer tried to do both, but kind of, I think she ended up not making either team, maybe? I don't recall. But I know it's hard to do both because it's 6 400s you have to run, right? It's 3 rounds and 3 rounds. It's a lot of running 400s. So it's like a 6x400 crazy workout over a week period.
Well, okay, so the women's at the trials, the women's 400 is in the first half, and then obviously you have the 2-day break in the middle, and then the 400-meter hurdles starts on those last 3 days, days 8, 9, and 10 of the 400-meter hurdles. So you could definitely do it. The problem is, the cumulative effect of the fatigue. All I'm offering is that I would want to stay 100 miles away from the women's 400-meter hurdles if I could avoid it, and if I had just as good a shot in both. You have to think that people would opt for at least having a shot at the 400, where there is so much uncertainty.
Here's my question. The 400 relay pool is top 8 because there's a mixed relay, because our sport's crazy and has mixed relays for no reason. Anyway, top 8. And it's going to be top 8 from the 400 final. Yeah. If you're Shamir Little, okay, first of all, let's think about trying to make it individually. Shamir Little, would you rather try to be top 3 when there's a race that has Muhammad and McLaughlin, or be top 3 when there's a race that has Jonathan and Francis, both who have run sub 50?
You'd rather run the 400. The 400.
Rather run the 400, but they're both hard. They're both hard. They're both hard.
Oh, yeah. It's Olympic trials. Yeah. They're all.
But here's the thing.
But in one event, you're running against the fastest 2 people in history.
The odds of Shamir Little getting top 8 in the 400 are 100%. Like, they would never make those odds because she's 1,000% guaranteed. So if she chooses to do the 400, she's 1,000% guaranteed to be an Olympian because she'll be in the 4x4 pool at the worst.
1,000% is good odds. Maybe I should put my house on that.
But if she's in the 400 hurdles and she somehow gets 4th, loses to Ashley Spencer, which could happen. They're both, I look at them even. All of a sudden, she's going to be looking at 51-second 400 women bragging about being on the Olympic team when she's like, I could smoke you. I'm a full second faster than you. Part of me hopes that they would recognize this, but I don't think they would. Would they recognize, say Shamir Little, it's like, all right, going all in. I still think she'll do the hurdles. If she gets 4th in the hurdles, we would be dumb to not put Shamir Little in the 400-meter hurdle pool. 400-meter relay pool. But would they do that?
They're not going to. No, they're not going to add that. They'll have a big enough roster as is, because then you're going to have to bump somebody out the open 4 pool. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, but the open 4 pool is going to be like a 51-second person, and you're like, 50.1. They would have to be like, we're dumb if we don't put Shamir Little in our 400-meter relay.
Yeah, but the rules are the rules, and this is one thing where I would side with them on it. Hey, you want to run the 4x4? You want to be guaranteed to run the 4x4? Run the 400 at the trials. That seems like a fair. That seems like a fair trade-off. Or be good enough to where you make it in another event, and then we can pull you over like they did with the hurdlers last time. Yeah, that's because what are we basing this? Then we're just going to go based off of times then, and not competition. I don't like that. Let's jump over to the 400 hurdles though, real quick, while we're talking about this, just because I think it's useful to compare these two to see which one she would opt for. So obviously in the 400 hurdles, you have Muhammad McLaughlin, Then you have Ashley Spencer. Then you have Shamir Little. Tate, Carter, Cockrell are the top 7. There might be another person who emerges from here, right? A college kid who gets hot at the right time. But even if they don't and it stays about where it's at, yeah, Little's going to be battling with Spencer, Tate, Carter at minimum for that final spot. And then you have to assume that those two spots, 2 fastest women in history, they're going to be fine. They're going to get through. Versus the 400, where, yeah, you have Jonathan and Francis and you have Shakima Wimbley. Obviously, no field is easy. That's why it's hard to make the Olympics in the United States. But it's not close. It's not close when you compare those two about which one will be more difficult, especially if you've already run 50.19. You already have that in the bank, and it's April.
Yeah. Well, I just think the thing is, like, she really is just racing one person in a 400 hurdle. She has to be top 1 in a 2-person race between her and Ashley Spencer. So you could argue 50% chance. But in the 400, there's a bunch of people. I mean, Jonathan's run 49, Francis run 49, Wembley's run 50.2, Ellis 50.38, Irby's run 50.5, Okolo 50.8. Yeah. So, like, there's a bunch of 50-point people. I feel like you could accidentally fall off into 4th in a 400 more than you could in 400 hurdles. I don't know.
Yeah, but you could also win. She could win the Open 4. That's a possibility at the trials. So there's 3 spots open versus 1 spot open. I think there's going to be somebody else too that's going to be there. We've seen in years past how deep that women's 400 hurdles is going to be, and there's going to be another person besides Spencer and Little there, whether or not it's Tate or Carter or Anna Cockrell gets on a roll. Like, there's going to be somebody else there who gets dragged along to a quick time.
Do you think if you're a 400-meter runner like a Jonathan or Francis, Wembley, Ellis, Okolo, Irby, Roberts, all these people, Felix, are you kind of embarrassed that the 4 best 400-meter runners don't do your event? Like, they don't train for your event, like, and they're still better than you? Like, that's got to be a little bit, like, embarrassing, no?
No. I don't. Look, you're going against, again, we're like, I don't think, because we're in the moment, we're not appreciating how good McLaughlin and Muhammad are. Because the 2 best in the history of the event. Of course, they're going to be good at it when you take away the barriers. And I think the women's 400 is going to get going again this year on the U.S. side, right? Because internationally,
college freshmen is better than them. Like, come on.
Internationally, well, again, this is the thing. You're always talking about a thing, Mo, as if she's just like, well, a random college freshman showed up at College Station and started running it. She broke the collegiate record in the 800. She's a generational talent. She's not just some person who showed up. Look, the women's 400 as a whole has been really good the last couple of years, really fast. You got to go back to Doha and look at what Nasser and Miller-Weibo did. So I think that's going to kind of trickle over to the U.S. side. We're going to see faster U.S. times. I don't think the times that were run in 2019 are going to hold up again in 2021. All I'm saying is, even if it gets quicker, you're still not going to have the situation where the 2 best of all time are in your event, and you're also really good in another event. It makes sense to explore that option. I'm looking here at the chat here. Leverage King says Irby, Quinera Hayes, and Felix. That's an interesting trifecta there. You could make some money.
Sounds like a troll.
If you go,
sounds like a troll.
You go to, well,
Quinera Hayes.
I like. So the Irby pick is interesting, right? So she has the crazy race in Eugene in 2018, correct? Yeah, 2018.
Yeah.
Goes pro. Obviously, there was some growing pains getting adjusted, but 2020 during the lockdown, she had some good runs, and is getting back. It looks like she's getting back into that form, and if she can run, she's run under 50 seconds, that puts her in the mix. Yeah, Quinera Hayes would be a long shot. Felix, again, I'm more optimistic on Felix than you are. I think she's got a shot just based on what she did in so few races in 2019. But we'll go to the men here. We went down a 400 meter hurdle rabbit hole here.